Okay, going back to number 19, broadly speaking, according to your text, what are the three phases of the medieval period or the Middle Ages? The three phases of the Middle Ages are early, which spans from 900 to 1050, high, which spanned from 1050 to 1300, and late, 1300 to 1500. During the first two phases of the Middle Ages, and this is question number 21, theater was performed in churches and monasteries, and these short plays that were performed by clergymen and choir boys and any related clergy were sung or chanted in Latin. These were called liturgical dramas because they were incorporated into the service, into the Catholic worship service. Um, the earliest recorded liturgical drama was Cem Charites. Cem Charites told the story of the arrival of the women at the tomb of Christ to discover that he was no longer there, he had resurrected. They encountered the angel at the tomb, and the angel asks them, Cem Charites, which means, whom do you seek? And the response, of course, was, we seek Jesus. Um, they discovered that Jesus has resurrected, and what ensues is celebration. Right, number 20. Oh, I'm sorry. There's another part of question number 20. When was Cem Charites, this earliest recorded liturgical drama, performed? What year? That year is 976 AD. Number 21. What is vernacular religious drama? When was it first performed, and who usually performed vernacular religious dramas? By the beginning of the late phase of the Middle Ages, so around 1300, 1311, vernacular religious drama was performed. Theater moved outside of the church, and instead of being performed in Latin, it was performed in the language that people spoke, which is referred to as vernacular. This was effective because if the goal with presenting theater during the Middle Ages was to educate people about Christianity, um, it was more effective if the performances were held outside of the church and performed in the language that the people spoke. So this is vernacular religious drama. The interesting thing about vernacular religious drama is that it was not performed by clergymen or anyone connected with the church. It was performed by lay people, everyday people who took on the challenge of educating people about Christianity. Number 22, by 1311, the church wanted to incorporate everyday people into its practices. What festival brought the two groups together? And the festival encouraged the creation of what type of play? By 1311, the church wanted to engage and incorporate lay people or everyday people into these uh, theater practices. The celebration, the festival that brought these two groups together was the festival or the feast of Corpus Christi, which celebrated the redemptive power of the holy sacraments, the blood and body of Christ. It was celebrated with a procession that brought together clergymen and lay people or everyday people. And that procession took the group through the city on a route that led through the city. Um, this procession informed what came after. And what that was were cycle plays. These are short adaptations of Bible stories that, when taken together, form a cycle. And these Bible stories were taken from the books of the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, from creation to doomsday. Um, these cycle plays were performed by members of trade guilds. If you recall, we talked about how by the beginning of or the middle of the 13th, 14th century, Tom had come to this region of Western Europe, where prior to that, war had destroyed so much, the famine, the plague, lots of lives were lost. But as the 16th century approached, calm came over that part of Western Europe, and trade was increased. Businesses popped up all over. These businesses were formed by guilds, trade guilds, and the members of these trade guilds were responsible for performing and presenting these cycle plays. These were a group of regular guys who took the challenge of presenting these plays upon themselves and presented them. Number 23, the medieval theater focuses on two kinds of time. What are they? Two realms of time, if you will. They are the earthly and the eternal. Number 24, what are the two parts of the medieval stage? Vernacular religious drama, or these cycle plays, were accessible because they were mounted on the backs of wagons, and theater actually came to the people rather than the people coming to watch these plays. These were outdoor plays. There were no permanent theaters constructed during the Middle Ages. So these plays were mounted on the backs of wagons, and the wagons processed through the city, and wherever people were gathered, they would set up and perform. The wagon provided the stage for the performance. The bed of the wagon, or the flat part of the wagon, became the stage, and that was called the platea. Against the side of that wagon, there was a piece of canvas that was stretched across the length of the bed of the wagon. And that canvas was painted with an image, whatever was needed to help to tell the story. That canvas, that painted backdrop, was called the mansion. So the two parts of the medieval stage are the mansion and the platea. In the 15th and 16th century, plays that focused on the spiritual trials of everyday people were presented. These plays were called morality plays because at the center of the story is a character that is recognizable, identifiable, someone that the audience can relate to. And because these plays were not based specifically on or the Bible or stories from the Bible, they related more to human beings in their everyday lives, always with an understanding that there is a hereafter, and the time that you spend on earth is going to ultimately determine where you spend eternity. One of the most popular morality plays is a play called Every Man, and every man represents each of us. In interpreting and watching the play, the audience identifies with that character. The playwright is anonymous. We have no idea who wrote the play, but it has served as possibly the most popular of the uh, uh, morality plays. I don't think I'm recording. Oh, I am. Sorry. Here I am. Yes. Um, okay. By the end of the Middle Ages, the popularity of religious plays was starting to diminish. Um, so plays that did not necessarily uh, relate to the Bible, but more so related to common everyday issues among people. Non-religious, completely secular plays were written. One type of play that was written during this time, and this once again is question number 26. What is a farce? A farce is a short, comic, completely secular play that was performed during this time. Another type of entertainment, another type of play that was performed during this time was something called an interlude. These were performed usually at events that were hosted by a wealthy member of society. And in between, say it was a banquet or something, in between the main course and dessert, a group of actors would perform a play that was written by that group, by that acting company, and performed as a part of that celebration. The thing that was significant about these performances, called interludes, was that the actors who performed the interludes were compensated. They were contracted to perform these plays at these events. This marked the movement toward theater becoming professional, meaning that people who actively participated in making theater were compensated for their work.